Right. Hey guys, Mr. Jamnik here. Moving along with Module 1, we are now going into Lesson 1.2. So the essential question is going to remain the same throughout the module, which is how do you add integers with the same sign? And now we're moving into infusing more with the negatives and positives. So Lesson 1.2 is adding integers with different signs. Okay, so we're just infusing the different signs, integers, as we're moving from 1.1 now to 1.2. Okay, so um, I want you to think about this before we begin the lesson. Okay, think about it. Waters 24 School had a fundraiser. So a fundraiser means that you want to raise money for the band. So they want to go, let's say, to a concert, but they need to raise money to get there, so they had to do a fundraiser. So Waters 24 School had a fundraiser for the band. We raised, let's say, for our class, $300 we raised, okay? But from that $300, we had to spend 28 of that dollars on supplies that we may have needed, for different equipment. So the thing I need you to think about is how can we find the difference? Yes, we know basic math. We can just take, the numbers that are given. We have the $300. We have the $28. We're thinking about the fundraiser. Just using like the problem probing protocol that we use for the POD. How you want to grab and take out bits and pieces of information as you're working and using the resources. So just think about that. We're not going to go over it yet. This is sort of like if I asked you to explain the equation, this is the type of like open-ended questions that you're going to be using. More than going to be a lot more higher order, where you're really going to have to grab the different pieces. Look at what it's asking. So if you look at this real quick, let me just read it one more time. Waters 24 School had a fundraiser for the band. We raised $300, but we spent $28 on supplies. How can we find the difference? So there's something that's just stand out that should be a key word in there, and I know that word should be difference, right? If we're looking at difference, we know that difference means to subtract, take away. So like I said, as we're continuing, I'm always going to have anchor charts and stuff too, my Google Slides that you guys can use as reference and different links that can help you as well. So think about that, and that's what we're going to work into as we're working. So adding integers with different signs. So you can see I had the number line again, but this time I extended it. Now don't forget, as you get more comfortable with this, you can always do intervals. So intervals of, so these go by ones, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to, I did to 15. But if you really want to, you get more comfortable, you can do by 5, 10, 15. So you can really bring out the space to, if you need help with doing, a lot bigger numbers. Same thing here, -1 all the way up to -15 as well. And if you wanted to do the intervals, don't forget -5, -10, -15. Because just like we did, always going to put for you guys, negatives go to the left, and we have positives go to the right. So when we're thinking about adding integers with different signs, we're always looking at the equation and thinking about what operation we're being asked, and then from there, using the number line, thinking about the common goal, which is to go either right or left. You're starting from the number itself to help determine which way you need to go, and then from there, you're really trying to put that into perspective of, you can always use something, money, blocks, counters, pointers, something like that that's going to help you. So, I'll show you guys in the next video of how I use pointers, or little, circles that help determine. You can think of, from red and green or red and yellow. So in this case, let's look at the four problems, because I'm trying to help you guys understand how you can look at a number, look at the integer, look at the operation, and really understand what's being asked and what the answer solution that you need. So don't forget, the parentheses is helping you to determine the operation that you're doing on the middle of the problem. Because if we just left this out, it would look like 13 plus -13. It would look too combined. Wouldn't really make sense. So just like we're backtracking, thinking about lesson 1.1, 1.2 is just getting more in depth about adding integers with different signs. So when we're doing this, we're taking a 7 plus a -5. We're doing a 13 plus a -13. We have a -8 plus a -3, and a -4 plus, I'm sorry, a -8 plus a +3, and a -4 plus a 5. So when you're looking at those four problems, think about it. So You have the template. As you're using a template, think about where you need to start, number one, what integer you're starting on, what operation you're doing, and then from the second number, which way do you have to go? Are you going to continue left, or are you going to start moving to the right of that number based on the operation? So let's take a moment and let's look at the first one. The first one says 7 plus -5. So I know I need to start on the number itself. The first number in the equation is a 7, and there's nothing in front of it, so it's a positive. So to help me, I'm just going to go right here, +7. Okay, everyone's with me. Same thing, 7 plus -5. I have to start from the first number, which is 7. This number is a positive number, so I'm starting from a +7. Bingo. Okay, now I'm looking at the operation. What are you adding to the +7? What's inside the parentheses? It's a what? It's a -5. So say it with me, -5. Which way does the negative go? It goes to the left. So from that 7, how many times are you going to the left from the 7? That's what you have to continue to ask yourself as you look. So I'm taking the +7, and I have the +7, then I'm adding a what to it? I'm adding a -5. But again, -5, because some people are going to say, all right, 7 plus 5 is 12. Yes, it's true. That would be true if there wasn't a negative in front of this integer. But in this case, there is. So I'm taking the 7 and I'm adding a -5. So which way do I have to go? Think about it. Negatives go which way? To the left. So from this +7, I'm going to the left. How many times? There you go. -5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the final answer should be a 2. 2. That's it. +7 plus a -5 means that I start on a +7. I'm looking at the operation. Yes, I know I'm adding, but I'm adding a negative number to it. So I know the negative number have to continue and go to the left, which gives me a positive answer. Doesn't mean you always have to get a negative answer. It just means that you're working your way towards the left, which is a negative aspect of the problem. Okay? Let's look at the second one. -8 plus 3. Okay, so ask yourself, what number are you starting on? And you should all be saying to yourself, I'm starting on the number line and the operation at a -8. So I'm starting at a -8. Perfect. Then look at the operation. Operation is addition. Perfect. What are you adding to it? In this case, there are no parentheses, so that means it's a +3. So from that -8, which way are you going 3 times? Are you going to the right 3 times? Or are you going to the left 3 times? And everyone should be saying to themselves, you should be going to the right, because in front of the 3 means that it's a positive. So from this -8, I'm going to the right how many times? 3. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. So the answer is a -5. Just look how the flow is going and where you're starting. Everyone assumes sometimes that, negative, if you're adding a negative, that the answer always has to be a negative. It always determines on where you're starting on the number line and what numbers you're using to get you to that. Just like here, this is where I always keep this in mind. This is a great example. Waters 24 School had a fundraiser for the band. We raised $300. So you raised, you gained, you got $300. So that's 300 positive. That's all the way to the right, 300. But then you needed some equipment or some supplies, so you spent $28 of that. So if you know you're doing the difference, so okay, I have $300 here, but I know the difference that I need to take away from that 300 is 28. But you can think, rational in your head that if I gave the equipment store, $300 cash, and they need to deduct $28 from that, I'm going to get back money, right? And the money's not going to be in the negative. I'm only taking 28 from that 300. So I'm still going to be on the positive side of the number line. So that's a good way you think about it. You go to the store, let's say you're going to the corner store, your parents tell you got to buy milk, some bread, chips, whatever it is, and it came out to $11.45, right? And you gave the cashier a 20. So if you're giving them a $20 bill, that's That's your money. That's what you have. But they need to take away $11.45. You're still getting money back. That's going to be the difference that you're making between buying something and getting the money back, and what change you receive. So you always have to keep that in mind of what you should be getting back and the difference, common operations and stuff. So here, let's move to the next one. 13 plus negative 13. Okay, so again, think about the number, integers, the sign. So what's this? This is a positive 13. So I'm going to start at positive 13. What I will do, sorry, is erase this so I don't confuse you. Okay, erase this one. So keep that in mind. Positive 13, what are you adding to it? So again, I took a positive 13, immediately I'm putting a 13 over here. Okay, then what I'm doing is I'm looking, okay, I know I'm adding to it. What am I adding to the 13? I'm adding a negative 13. So negative goes which way? To the left. So just like it, so think about it. I'll take a 13 and I need to take away negative $13. So work with me. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So you get back 0. Okay? If you went to the store and let's say you had 13 singles and everything came out to $13 even flat, you're not getting any change back because you're starting from a positive 13. You're taking away 13 of those dollars and you're getting 0. Okay? 13 plus a negative 13 brings you back to a negative to the left, and you would stop at a 0. Okay? And the last problem we have here is a negative 4 plus 5. So you think about this one. As you're doing that, I'm going to grab my trusty paddle. And from the paddle, I'm going to write down what I believe the answer is. Okay? And then let's see what you guys think. But let me just erase this. So you guys can have that. Negative 4 plus negative 5. Take a minute, look at the number line, and see. Okay, keep looking, keep thinking. I'm going to put the answer on in a second. Okay, we got a negative 4 plus 5. Okay, what does everyone think the answer is? What do you guys think? Negative 4 plus 5. Okay, hopefully everyone got this beautiful number that I drew, which should be a... what? Oop. Get that out of there. Positive 1. Okay? Not negative 1, positive 1. And I say that because, again, okay, keep work. Negative 4 is where? Boom. Negative 4 is here. I'm taking a operation of addition, and there's no parentheses, and that means it's addition. So I'm going this way, this way, this way, positive, 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 to the right how many times? So 1, 2, 3, 4, and I end up at positive 1. Okay, so there are a lot of different ways and methods that you guys are going to use to solve all these problems. And again, when you guys are doing that, just continue to think about, relating that to money, what you're doing, because the numbers are definitely going to get bigger for you. And when you're thinking about that, you have to think of, so if we go back to Waters 24 School had a fundraiser, we had $300 we brought to the store. We had a difference of 28. So we know we can just set it up the equation like this. But when we're doing this, I just want you to have that in your head to think about a negative and positive. You can't give somebody a negative money that doesn't exist. You need to have the money, the profit, the fun to get that, and then you would backtrack to see. So if you went to the store and you wanted video games and you had $50 and you wanted to buy 3 games, but it came out to $60 and change, you don't have enough. So you have to backtrack and think about it. All right, well, this one and this one would add up to 48 and I have $50. So yeah, I would do that and would be able to get those 2 games and maybe only get a little bit change left over. So those are the types of things you have to think about as you're working on adding integers with different signs. So let me just give you a little bigger one just to see if you can think about the concept. Let's say I did negative 50 plus negative 40. Okay? Huge number. But don't forget, what's my mistake that I did here? Good. Parentheses. Now the equation makes sense. Negative 50 plus negative 40. Wow. Big number, right? So I have a number that big. I need to think about, I'm not going to draw a number line, right? That's way too big. And you don't need to do that. And you need to start thinking. You can't always jump to, take a calculator, or, you can't spend endless hours of drawing these enormous number lines. You got to really think of the concepts and the keywords: opposite, integers, difference, negatives to the left, positives to the right, intervals. These are all the keywords that you need to continue to focus on. So I know that if you're looking at it, what number are you starting at? You're starting at a negative 50. So right here, I'm starting at a negative 50. Okay, that's step one. And then I'm looking, okay, so negative 50 is all the way, let me click here. Sorry, negatives, right? All the way down there. I mean, it keeps going and going. So if that's negative 50 down there, I got to add a negative 40. But you should know in your head that a negative 50 plus a negative 40. So you're adding a 40 to that, right? But which way are you going still? You're going to the left how many times? Negative 40. So this is what I was showing you guys before. And the easier way to do this and determine, you can take the 50 and the 40. 50 and the 40. Okay? Just take those two numbers, watch what I do, and see if this is another trick that helps you and guides you to solving some of these problems. What is 50 plus 40? Right? 50 plus 40 gives you what? 90. So think about that now. We just did that in 2 seconds. But what would the answer be? So if I started at negative 50, right, over here, and I'm adding a negative 40, that means that I'm taking from a negative 50 that, let's say, started here, I'm counting all the way this way 40 more times. You're really just doing 50 plus 40. But since you're going to the left all those times, what do you have to put in front of this? There you go. Negative 90. Negative 90. You're done. That's it. Very simple. Don't make it too much in your head that you can't do it. You can. You have to take your time. Watch this one. Let's do this. We're focusing on the negatives, but using the addition sign. So if I gave you negative, let's say, 20, okay, plus, okay, let's do plus what? Plus 15, okay? But we don't want to do plus 15. We want to do negative 20 plus a negative 15. There we go. Now we have an equation. So you're looking at this saying, still, these are double digit. It's too much to draw the number line. That's fine. You got a negative 20 here. That's where you're starting. And you're adding a what? 15. Watch what I'm doing. If you know you're adding a negative plus a negative, you're going to the left twice. So the answer has to still remain there what? Negative. So all you're doing is taking the 20, take the number 15 first, second, add them. You got 5, 35. Done. But don't forget the last step you have to do, because you know that you have a negative and then you're adding another negative. So you keep going all the way to the left, right? Which is negative. So the answer couldn't be 35. The answer would be what? Negative 35. Okay? Very simple to do. But look at the signs that you're using. That's the most challenging thing. Look at all the signs that you have, because one sign that's changed, the answer is completely changed. So let me show you. If I took negative 5 plus negative 10, okay, look at that equation. And underneath it, I'm going to do negative 5 plus 10. Okay, so think about this. Look at the equations, and then look at the difference. This equation, negative 5 plus negative 10. Okay, I have a negative 5, I have a negative 10. This one here, I have a negative 5 plus 10. Okay, so it's different. So you have a negative 5, your operation is addition, and you're having a negative 10. This one you have a negative 5, same thing. Operation is addition, same thing. However, this should change. Negative 10 positive change. So the answers cannot be the same. This is why you're working with the number line and the integers and the opposite of what you're using, going either right to positive or left to negative. Okay? So let's look at this one. -5 plus -10, you're going to the left both these numbers. So again, the trick that I was showing you, I'll put it right here. I have a 5 and you have the 10, right? So what is 10 plus 5? You got 15. Done. Perfect. Don't forget though, which way were you going with both integers? Negative, negative. So you continue going to the what? To the left. So it has to be a -15. Now, look at this one. This cannot be -15. So we're going to work, and you guys are going to see how the operations, the integers, and the number line, and what you need to focus on will show you what direction you need to go, right? -5 would start here. This is this one. You're adding a -10, so you're going to go -10. That way times, you're going to get the -15. Adding the 10 plus 5 gives you the -15. Done. Now here, you have a -5 plus 10. So same thing, to show you. We're going to start here again. -5. But there are no parentheses here. That means that it's understood that this is a positive 10. Positive 10s go where? To the right. So always start from the number itself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we end up at 5. So take a look. Look at the difference that we just did. This is the key interpretations of what you're doing when you're adding and subtracting integers with different signs or the same signs depending on what you're doing. So again, don't get overwhelmed. Look at the number line, think about the concepts we've been doing, and in your book and on the other videos, they're all instructional. I show you step by step how you need to do. And then one thing that you're going to need to take from all of this is thinking about the what? The open-ended problem. And the open-ended is where you really need to think about what the information you're pulling out, what making sense, and always go back to the probing, to the problem probing protocol. Think about, would a diagram help me? Would working backwards help me? Would drawing a picture help me? Would, there's endless things you guys can do. It could be as simple to think about what you need. So use that, think about that, and we'll continue to think about how we're going to draw from that and continue with the next lesson.